Jeremy Diggs, class of 2007. When I think of 40 years since Mr. Stevens came to Waltrip, and I think of all sorts of stories, there's a lot of stories I could tell. I can think back to impersonating him on the porch after practice. I was one of the best impersonators of him. All his phrases and all his catchphrases, all the Stevens-isms, he had a lot of them. But what stands out in my mind especially is when I worked here at Waltrip. I worked here during his last 5 years as a band director. And during those 5 years, I was in college. And my degree is actually in media production. My degree, surprisingly, is not music education. But he never let me hear the end of it that I should not be doing media. Anytime I came into the band room with an idea, with a suggestion, he would say, "Oh, look at you, thinking like a band director. Hey man, you know you're supposed to be a band director." No matter what I did, no matter what I said, he made it clear that I should not be doing media. He even said that one time. He was like, "Diggs, I don't know why you're spending your time on that media degree. You know you're supposed to be a band director." And I kind of shrugged it off and I was like, whatever. But as fate would have it, a year after I left Waltrip from the staff, a year after I graduated from college, I found myself as the band director at Fondren Middle School. And towards the end of that first year as band director, I was here at the Waltrip Concert Festival, and I ran into him, and he's like, "Oh, I see you've become a band director. Okay." Kind of like, "Yeah, I told you, fool. I told you that's what you were supposed to be doing." So after he let me make it, that I had become a band director like he had been telling me to, he changed what he was saying every time I ran into him. It changed. Now, instead of telling me I needed to be a band director, it was, "Oh, Diggs, you're supposed to come back home. There's a spot for you here over at Waltrip." And I can remember one of the years when I brought my middle school here, he was one of the judges at the HIC Concert Festival. And after he gave his critique on the comment sheet and on the recording, at the end of the recording, he said, "Well, Mr. Diggs, you've become a fine band director, and I think you know what I'm thinking is your next move," or something along those lines. And I knew what he was talking about. He was telling me to come to Waltrip. And every time I ran into him, every time I've run into him since 2014, since I became a band director, he has told me that I need to come back to Waltrip. And I would always say, "Oh no, I'm doing my thing." And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do my thing. I wanted to establish myself away from Waltrip, away from, all of this. And now, as fate would have it, I find myself back at Waltrip. And the only thing I hate is that I haven't been able to talk to him. He's not the easiest person to get a hold of. I haven't been able to talk to him. I haven't been able to tell him. I haven't been able to get his reaction. But I know he knows. And I just hope that he's proud that, one, I became a band director like he told me I needed to, and I came home like he told me I needed to. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. A lot of us wouldn't be where we are without you.